and my presentation today is rebranding Northwest Survey Monuments. They are a subcontractor that installs survey monuments in newly developed plat subdivisions. Have you ever noticed a circular cast iron case similar to a manhole, but much smaller in the middle of the road? Those are land survey monuments, and they mark major land survey points. These markers, or survey monuments, which I'm going to refer to throughout my presentation, are means of visualizing the corners of parcels or a right-of-way or of a right-of-way. A survey monument defines roadway alignment in a newly developed subdivision or plat. They're usually located either in Pierce, King, or Snohomish County. They are what actually is the standard of what Northwest Survey Monuments, while they are installing that monument, have to abide by. The reason why this company has to be rebranded or relaunched is kind of twofold. One, the external environment, which was having to do with a bank crisis, which is an economical situation. And the other thing is the company didn't have any governance. The company didn't have any structure. The company was not properly managed. There was no structural functional plan in the organization. However, in remarketing this company, there still is a market that's relevant to the target market share, which is the property developers, the owners of the new developed flats that are in these new subdivisions. The work's still there because during this time, back in 2007, the plat was half developed and now owned by banks, and the developed land still needed to be signed off for completion, so it would be eventually ready for home builders to build and sell the home. However, because of the governance and the non-structural of the company, they were not willing to continuously withstand in this environment. In the analysis, though, what would be benefit of the market research, the benefits of the market research conducted on the rebranded service is the market is still there, and they would still have a great market share because the competition is not there. This is all per Snohomish County website. There's new parcels growing up, popping up in every area that any land could be developed. Part of the strategic plan that would be implemented or we put in place is they need improvement of the communication effectiveness of their strategy plan from top management all the way down to the laborer. They need the laborer who's actually putting in the monuments needs to know what this company is all about. Why are they out there? This is a labor intensive job, and a lot of times the company went through a lot of workers, but we need to have those workers there in order for this company to run. When they come out and they relaunch this new product, this new service, the economy, it's at first it's going to be like a price fighter, and in order to get back into the premium position of the market share, they're going to have to leverage new websites. They're going to have to leverage mature technology. They're going to have websites. They're going to have to Build partnerships, not only with the customer, but advising them, making suggestions for and better educating the processes when developing their land. You eventually will need Northwest Survey Monuments to come and install their monuments in the road and it be cost effectively, because the primary reason why this business is going to be in business or is in business is that it's important for them to sign off on the completion of that plat before it can go on to the next phase, which is the revenue phase of when the builders can actually sell homes and start generating a revenue. Invariably, it is required if this brand is going to be successful. If we're going to be successful in rebranding of this service, invariably it's going to be required to signal a change in direction. What it will do is signal a change in direction and focus and the attitude of the company. How are we going to get there? Well, first of all, we need to focus on positional business platform. Not only the reason why I pick a traditional business platform is that the market, in order to get back into the market, you need to gain initial transaction and prove that the service is still needed, to prove that the service is still sound. It was a reputable business beforehand, but now there's going to have to be a lot more handshaking and getting back in there. But primarily, before you even start that, they need to have some kind of organizational management structure, a strategic direction. Their strategic direction needs to be clear. It needs to be clear to all of their stakeholders. All their stakeholders being not only their customers, but the community, their employees, the supply handlers, the county regulators. They used to be very famous amongst the county regulators. They were able, a lot of times that's where the referral business came from, because if that was the last final, the last final sign off for revenue to come in to not only to the property developers, but also to Northwest Survey Monuments as a business, they needed that sign off of completion, the sign off that the property developer had done their job to prepare the pathway in order for now these homes to be built, for the builders to come in, not necessarily one builder, it could be any builder, but in order to then sell those lots. There also needs to be, after, if they do the successful rebranding, is that they need to have an improvement of communication effectiveness through their strategy map, which I will go through in a moment. And there also, again, there needs to have some kind of governance, some kind of board of directors, some kind of something overseeing, because when this building defaulted, there were two families involved. Well, I will get into that later. Again, the strategic direction needs to be clear. They need to have a strategic purpose. They need to have they need to have a mission. They need to have a value statement. They need to have a vision statement. They need to have a purpose. And the main thing that I want to construe to all of you is that focusing everyone in the company on customers and solutions is what is the thread that's going to be from the top of what the proposed strategy purpose is, whatever the mission is, whatever the value is, whatever the vision is. But the main thing is that there has to be some kind of strategic object or goal that resonates through the whole entire company. And if you have this, you then can withstand all of the external environment or the internal environments that come in front of you. This is what a strategy map looks like. This is what, when formed and This is what, when formed and um, is made and planned, is this needs to be executed to all members of the company. And it basically has on the, you have financially what your objective goals are. You have through your customer, what is the goal of the customer? What is the company's goal of the customer? These are the objectives. Examples are improve knowledge of process, improve market perfection, uh, perception, improve customer satisfaction. Anyways, when you have a strategy map and it flows through the whole entire map, then you then have that you can um, basically those objectives define the strategies or the implementation of the steps to attain the identified goal. The goals are generally guidelines that explain what you want to achieve. Unlike goals, objectives are specific, measurable, and have defined completion dates. For instance, key performance indicators. These are measurable values that show how effectively you can achieve the business objective. There are also, in addition to this, there are metrics which are not stated, but those are the ones that you track the status of a specific business and if the process is actually performing. If it's more involved, you would have to do a balanced scorecard, and there's going to be data collected. A lot of the data collected would be emphasizing staying key to how to measure these key performance indicators. Again, the stakeholders in Northwest Survey Monuments include owners, the management team, customers, suppliers, the county regulators of the county, the location of where these monuments are being installed. There are rules, there are regulations, there are code of conduct, there are standards. They have to be, you have to be the manager, the management needs to be accountable to make sure that they are actually going in so that the final product then can be, um, so that their job, Northwest Survey Monuments job, then can be finished, and then the developer can sign up on the completion, and they can go on to all of them making revenue. Another thing is that when the company, I just want a side note here that the company had policies, it had procedures, but it had no communication with the framework. There was one voice or two voices, but couldn't come to agreement on things. Policies were put in practice, but again came from owners from two separate families. So there was no consistency. The solution is when we go about rebranding this service to form a board, a committee, a third party. And my advice is that in this board of directors, it be made up of uh, using a to coincide to have everybody eat. Okay, stop. To coincide with a policy board type of governance model, but also being that everybody in the company does have a voice. Not that they just have a voice of yes, they get two 2-hour lunches. That's not what this is all about. What it is about then the owners can work together as a team, and the The policy model then can work as a team, and they can apply the whole attention to each task. The HR department, formulating rules and regulations, code of conduct, how we're supposed, um, the company's best practices for safety, for handling the contracts the correct way, the legal way, if we need to outsource out to somebody that is legal. A lot of what should be, but in doing this, and what I wanted to get back to is why I used a transitional business model in the first place, is also that is not just it. This is a changing constantly situation that needs to be looked at and then analyzed. And as we get back into the market, as the Northwest Survey Monuments gets back into the market, they then can actually go into, maybe it would have to switch to first a partner-centric type of model, partnering with providers in sourcing expertise. And that's where I'm getting at too, that would actually help with all of these regulations, forming the governance of the company, which is very important, because if they have this governance of this company, that then possibly when they went through this default, they wouldn't have split it up, because there would have been a higher authority per se, the board of directors, that would have been able to keep them together. There would have been some kind of concentration of some kind of focus of where this company, what it meant, the goal, the objectives. All of this plays a crucial part in the organization, in the organizational strategic management of this company. And then the other would just be second nature, as far as if you have this plan, the personnel alignment. This would support it would be able to support the effective decisions that were made. There would be employee skills matched, make sure that the employee skills are matched by the job performed. And then I kind of just threw in there that to measure and introduce the capital and balance scorecard, because when this company actually does have the first basic part of becoming a organization, a managed organization, these measures, which I touched on before, can really help the company on an ongoing basis continue to measure where they're at. And that's primarily what needed to be done, so that then they would know and how they could when external situations occur, that they could actually be able to then attack them, be able to continue through, be able to come out of the horizon and still then work on continuously going forward, moving the company forward. In conclusion, basically, if the concentration of the company, first of all, needs to be around that all the people, down from the board of directors, if they can focus on putting the best interest of the customer first, that is what they do when they're doing the regulations and their codes and their standards. But the management, all through the management, the office manager, the project manager, the supervisor, if they all have one type of focus, if they have all one type of organizational, they just need to know what the strategic goals and objectives are. So that is the main part of a company surviving, being able to continue forward. And it's not just that, it is a constant measure that is occurring continuously, and it still could be continuously going on now. But it is important to align the objectives to resonate from the owners all the way down to the laborer, because then they would be able to respond to the customer needs, and then they could be that leader moving forward in their industry and can continue on as the to withstand the sustainability, which in essence, that's what all the larger, bigger companies do have. And primarily what I want to conclude with is the expected outcome of this rebranding of Northwest Survey Monuments is the company will be a more strategic, structural, organized emphasis on reliable, time-sensitive service in the installation of survey monuments, with a focus of everyone from top to bottom in the company on customers and solutions. And when you have that type of performance instead of just finance, revenue, in a whole, I believe that is how you get a successful company. And this is how I would restructure this company, how I would rebrand this company, and how I would relaunch it in the era that it is now. The end.